Well, welcome everybody. Hello and welcome to our session today. This is a session on Autodesk Build. What we're going to cover today is just a few of the build portions of it. We're going to make a series out of this. We're going to cover Autodesk Build and just 4 of the 16 tools that are currently available to us. Yeah, so thanks for joining us. My name is Jay Ayala. I'm a technical specialist located in Richland, Washington State, here on the West Coast, and got a special treat for you today. I'm going to be joined here momentarily by Kevin Closson, the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin Closson. He's been a long time civil technical specialist in the industry covering the Pacific Northwest. And what we thought we would do is we thought we would present Build to our audience here. But really what I'm going to do is I'm going to be presenting it to Kevin. He doesn't know that yet, right? He's going to join us here in a minute. And I'm going to be presenting it mainly to Kevin. He doesn't know Build, so I'm going to show him what it is in this series and kind of show him those tools. So if you're not familiar with Autodesk Build is a construction management solution. Autodesk Build will help us with things like project management, quality management, cost controls. There's a lot to it. And what you're looking at here is a particular project, and this one in particular, we're looking at a schedule of what's happening there. But we additionally have submittals, we've got RFIs, we've got meeting minutes and capabilities of how to track what happens in those meetings. We're going to get to those in the series, but first we're going to start off with the first 4 of these. Give me 1 second, guys. I have an illustration here that I wanted to share with you guys. So we have in particular these 4, stand by, guys. These 4 portions of what we wanted to share with you, and that's sheets. We wanted to share files. We wanted to look at issues and forms. That's what we're going to cover today. And in subsequent sessions, we're going to go over photos, RFIs, submittals, meetings, schedules, assets, reports, as well as members. So that's what we're going to cover throughout this series. Today is just these first 4 sheets, files, issues, and forms. So if you haven't already seen it, and this might be, this might be very informative for you guys. If you have seen it in the past, you might pick up on a few new nifty tricks. So logging in, what do? How do you get Build? Well, it's all driven off of the cloud. It's all driven off of the cloud. Autodesk's, they call it the Forma. It's Autodesk's former name, formal name rather, is Forma, F-O-R-M-A. That's what they call this. It's the Autodesk Construction Cloud. It's codenamed Forma. So if you hear me or another Autodesk individual talking about Forma, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And to get there, you're just going to use your favorite web browser, and you might be on Internet Explorer. I don't know. But here you're going to go to acc.autodesk.com, and it's going to bring you to your project list. Oh, and let me get rid of the presenter view here. It's hiding a few things. Yeah, good. And what we're going to look at is all the different projects that I'm associated to here. And specifically, I'm going to bring you to one that I deal with on a regular basis. This is called the Autobahn project. The Autobahn project. And this one is a real world project. Let me show you that. It's Autobahn. Yeah, in Columbus, Ohio. This is a real project that was built, I think, in 2013, 2014. It's located 505 Whitwitter Street in Columbus, Ohio. That's the building there. And thankfully, being part of the Autodesk family here at Topcon, we have access to these, to the files and stuff that you're going to see here. And the reason I bring that up is because that's the project that we're going to be looking at here. So just to give you a quick orientation, if you're not familiar with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, in the upper left-hand corner, you have access to all the modules. We're going to be looking at Build today. Of course, you can see there's a lot more. We're going to cover all of those eventually at some point too. But yeah, that's the project that we're working on, and this is how we get there. So let's take a look at this. We got sheets, we got files, we've got issues and forms. That's what we're going to cover today. All right. So just to get started here, you're always going to be brought to the home page here of this particular project. And it's going to show you, the different things like project progress. On August 2nd, 2022, there was a parking lot grading milestone that had to be hit. And you can see the date today. You can see the weather that's happening at that specific location right now, real time. You got the quick link, so you can go to the sheets, which is this here, right from here, and you can also go to the members, which is this guy over here. And a couple of things to make note of here. You're going to see a lot of what's happening with the project here in the home. You can see that we've got 3 overdue issues. We got 1 overdue RFI. You can see that we got some project that's been assigned. We got 9 overdue issues. We got all this other stuff that's going on within here, and you need to keep up to date with this. And what I really like about Build is that it really kind of keeps the really important stuff in the foreground so that you guys are made aware of it at a glance. All right, let's get into Sheets. What's Sheets, Jay? So Sheets, I want you to think of Sheets as everybody on the project, everybody that's in the project who's been invited. So what does that mean? That means everybody who's part of this project as a member, okay? So all these individuals are being, have access rather, to everything that's in Sheets, okay? So that's a small team, right? So let's say that we've got 30, 40 people on a team. Everybody's gonna have access to all of these items here, right? And let me view this in tile form so you guys get a kind of a better sneak peek as to what's happening. So this is a sheet that came from Revit, and you can go through and see each one of these things. A couple things to make note of. You see the tile view, you see the sheet number, you see the sheet name, and then in the bottom you can see a couple of different statuses. So here we've got, it hasn't been publicly shared, so this means maybe you need to share this with a member who isn't in this list, okay? So for example, Kevin Closson, my cohort here, the man, the myth, legend, Kevin Closson, he's not part of this member list, right? But if I needed to share this particular sheet with him, I could in fact do that. I could give him a public link, and that's what that little publicly shared link means. Now, if I look at A1-1 DIMS, I can see that I've got 6 unpublished markups. Those are markups that are for me, right? If I needed to make sure something was in there for me. And then I also have this crown over here, and that means that I have 2 published markups. Those markups, everybody in the members list can see those markups. Everybody in the members list can see those markups, okay? So here, if I want to go look at this, I just select that tile view, and it's going to give me all that information about this particular sheet here. And what I like about this is when we have an occasion where we've got sheets that are published from Revit rather than a PDF, okay? We have the ability to select an item. I just selected this particular wall. You can see it's hard to tell right now, but as I zoom in on it, you can see it's highlighted blue. So how can you select items in a PDF? And that's because this isn't actually a PDF. This comes from Revit Sheets. And because it comes from Revit Sheets, it carries all of those Revit parameters in here, okay? So why do I bring this up? Why is that important? Well, I know that this is a specific type of wall. It's a 4 7/8 interior smoke partition, P8 wall type, right? I see that it's got an unconnected height here. Where did I see that? I think I scrolled a little further down to see that. I can see the length, the total length. I can see the unconnected height, which is right here, 12 feet high, right? So this is packed full of information that I'm gonna need at some point or another, right? So two parallel lines in a plan view, well, they can represent anything. They can represent a door, they can represent a wall, they can represent conduit, cable tray, they can represent a pipe, they can represent a duct, it can represent anything. Two parallel lines can represent anything. But when you select the item from a sheet that came from Revit, you got that information readily available to you, okay? So that's one real big benefit. We see all of these markups over here, and I've got the markup panel over on the left over here. It's currently minimized, but I can expand this, and I can see which of these has been, check this out, I can see which of these markups has been published here in red. These markups have been published and read. And then these markups that just have a squiggle, those are my markups. Those are markups for me. So there are times when I want to mark something up. Maybe I'm doing an internal review before I go publish this to the engineers or whatever, to the architects, and I just want to mark something up for myself. So I'm looking at the crown and I'm looking at that squiggle line. So this markup right here, that's a markup for me. This markup over here, again, that's a markup for me. That's a line measurement. So I needed to see how wide that measurement was. So, and if you're ever curious, you can just zoom in and see where that's at, right? That's a 3-foot door there. Then I can see this other markup, so I did a pen there, so on and so forth. You can explore all of this. Those are the markup capabilities here. What we're gonna look at later here are not just the markups, but also the issues. We're gonna dive into this in just a minute. However, before I get there, I do wanna explain a few additional things there. Taking measurements on sheets, pretty simple. You can use a linear distance, you can use an angle measurement, you can use an area, you can use arcs, you can calibrate this. So if this has not been calibrated yet, you could calibrate it. So when would you use a calibration? Well, that would be, for example, if you ever, for example, Kevin, if you were trying to figure out a PDF. So what you would calibrate it using a PDF, and you would get something simple, Kevin. Check this out. You would go, for example, from column 13 to column 15. You know it's 22 feet even. So that's when you would use a calibration. But if it's already calibrated, check out this viewing area here. Oh, and incidentally, Kevin, check this out. So that that viewing area, that's this image right here. That's this image right here. Remember, Kevin, I was talking about how this is a real world project. And
right.
Yeah, so that's this little area here. And if I go back into build on sheet, that's this room here. So if we wanted to know so it's kind of cattywampus there. What's that angle, right? So if I needed to know what that angle was, that's where I would take that measurement, because I actually don't know what that angle is. I've always been kind of curious about that. I don't know why, but I've never actually taken that measurement to figure out what that angle is. So here I can see it's 92 degrees, 92.8611. Remember that, Kevin. That's going to be on the quiz later. All right, excellent. So that's kind of how we deal with some of the sheet stuff. There's information hidden in there, and we can do PDFs too. I mean, we're not limited to just Revit sheets. If you guys are working AutoCAD and producing AutoCAD PDFs from AutoCAD, we can produce those things in here as well. Just showing you some of the advanced features there. If you are in fact using those other features with Revit, that's kind of very useful there. Cool. So a couple of other things. How do you make a markup, Jay? So it's pretty simple. The markup capabilities are in this little tool palette on the right side over here, this little toolbar, and you can just use, draw. So if I wanted to bring your attention over here and formally document this, so I would just use the pen and I would draw, and I would let people know it's 92. It's off kilter by 92.8211. Yeah, so here we go. Let's do that. You know what? Let's do this in green. Let's do this one in green. Cool. All right. Filter by 92.8211 degrees. Okay, so testing your super nerd. Hey, Kevin, what's the alt code for degree?
That is, I have to do it with the symbols. I don't know.
Okay, all right. I'm a super nerd. I know what that is. It's alt. You have to press and hold alt. It's 0176. Super nerd.
What was
Okay,
it,
cool.
0176?
Yeah, alt
That's on the test too,
0176.
right?
Oh, that's going to be on the quiz. You know it's going to be on the quiz.
Now I'm gonna
Oh,
have to try that, Jay.
yeah, I do it all the time. Okay, cool. So there's a little bonus tip for you guys who already are familiar with ACC Build. Cool. So there's just a quick markup, right? Oh, and this I want to make this particular markup. I want to publish it so that everybody, including Kevin and everybody else who's on this project, can see that it's off kilter. Off kilter. Did I misspell it? It doesn't matter. Cool. I think everybody gets the point there. Cool. Good. So that's Sheets. We also have a couple little things that we can do here. This brings up the viewer, and you can just flip to the next sheet, so on and so forth, if you're ever in the need to just get a quick glance, rather than backing all the way out to this view, and then, oh, which view is it that I need? So there's a couple of little speed things that we can do there. So sheets, again, all of these sheets, whether it comes from PDF or whether it's from Revit file or even AutoCAD, we have the ability to view these sheets and see all those properties behind it. If it's PDF, you'll have to do a little bit more to figure out what things are, but yeah, we can absolutely publish. The way this typically goes is most everything that we work on, our live project info is going to go into files, okay? So here you're seeing that it's structured differently. We got project files as the overall header there, the top level folder, and then we got all these subfolders. We got architecture. So here's that architectural file that we have. We've got our structural file. We've got our civil folder. We've got our MEP. We even have Navisworks coordination folder if you guys need it. We have office documents for any related things here. And speaking of files, what I really like about how this works is, let's say we had a report of some sort. There's an integration with the files, with Build in particular, and even Docs. So I should back that up. Even Docs. I'll get to the difference between Docs and Build later, but here's one of the things. There's an integration with Microsoft Office. So if you post your Excel spreadsheet, your Microsoft Word document, it will use your Office 365 login credentials. It'll remember it. It'll just ask you that one time, and then we can go in here and edit this. So Kevin, me, and you, and Vinny, and all of our colleagues, wherever they are, doesn't matter. They can be in here manipulating this at the same time, just like Office 365, right? If I were to share this with everybody on my team, it's built right in here. The reason I love this is because you can have the files in the appropriate folder structure rather than hosting it on on your separate OneDrive folders and then having to kind of make copies and put it into the file folders that they belong. So I'm a big proponent of how to deal with it that way. So again, there is a integration built right in with oh, and I backed out too far. Sorry guys. There's an integration built with within Microsoft Office 365 and Build, and the reason I like that a lot is just it keeps everything centralized, all of our documents centralized within the files. Okay, so again, your DWGs, they're going to go here. They're going to go here. So I've got my AutoCAD folder for my MEP. This is where your AutoCAD files are going to live. They're going to live right here on the cloud, not on your hard drive. They're going to live here. So that begs the question, hey Jay, if I go open up a file, using AutoCAD, what happens to my file? I mean, can Kevin go in and open the same file? Well, the answer is yes, if it isn't locked, right? So we can lock these files. You're going to see that we can lock these files, okay? And we can open them up within Docs. All right. All right, cool. So guys, feel free to ask questions if you have anything that comes up, that anything strikes your fancy. I forgot to mention this as we got started. Feel free to ask questions, type them in the Q&A panel, and Kevin's going to be watching that as we go along here. And I'm just going to show Kevin some more stuff here. So files, we're not quite done with files. We see the folder structure here, and if you're like most companies, you may have a specific project folder structure that you like to adhere to so that every project is the same. Kevin, do you subscribe to that philosophy, or do you just like making up, a folder structure for each project as you go along?
Probably the latter.
Okay, if you are in a structured folder setup for each project, which is a really good practice, by the way, but sometimes you need the flexibility to be able to manage different folders. But if you want to get started with this, what you would do is you would make a project here in Build, and you would use this as a template so that when you start a new project, you've got these core folders already set up for you, and you can come in and add that later. So that's just part of the functionality of files. And then finally, the other thing is, if you are working, for example, we talked about this, Kevin, if Kevin is not a member of this particular project, as you see here, but I still want to share a file with him, I want to show you a little secret, because your project is already hosted on the cloud. You should be able to share it with anyone, regardless if they have the software or not. So I'm going to invite Kevin to my, do I have a civil AutoCAD file here? So I'm going to invite Kevin here to be able to view this Revit file, okay? Download and use this Revit file. So here's how we do that. First of all, under the settings, so I'm in files. So there's two places where you're going to see settings. I don't want to confuse you guys. So we have files and we have file settings. That's way over here. And then we have the overall project settings, which is down here in red. So we have to go look at the file settings, okay? So here's the file settings. And if I go to advanced, I can share this with a public link. By default, the public link to sheets and files, by default, Autodesk has this turned off. All you have to do is enable this. And by enabling it, what we can do is we can jump in here to this particular Autobahn site central, right? The civil file that we've got working here. And I want to share this with Kevin. So here's how I do that. Simply share, and then you're going to provide, notice that this, we've got this option here, this third one, anyone with the link, right? So I can share that one with anyone with the link, and then I can go grab that one right from here, right? So I grab this link and I can email it now. I can send that off to him. So rather than having to upload to OneDrive or Dropbox or whatever other SharePoint or whatever other file sharing that you have, it's already here. It's already on the cloud. Let's share it with them. So that's one little hidden thing that most people are unaware of, that you can have public links to sheets and files. And I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of that one. Yeah, so for those of you veterans who are using Docs or Build, if you're seeing that for the first time, please let me know by participating there in the Q&A. All right, good. So that kind of covers sheets and files. Again, sheets, everybody has access to this, and files, only certain people have access to files, okay? And the way that works is, if I look at, for example, the MEP folder, if I go look at permission settings, these 4 people, and only these 4 people, have access to this MEP folder, right? So Chris, Daniel, David, if they're only members of the MEP consultant, they're only going to see the MEP folder. They won't even know that the rest of these exist. They're only going to see, for example, they're only going to see the project files folder and then the subfolder called MEP. They're not even going to know that any of these other file folders exist. They're not even going to see those in their list here. It's just going to be as if it was only the project files and MEP only. That's what they would see. So sheets, everybody on the project has access to them, and the files, rather, only the members who've been invited into those particular folders can see those. So that's mainly the difference. This also, the biggest difference is the project files. This is where all your working files go, and the sheets, that's where the stuff to the field goes, okay? I think that kind of wraps that up nicely here. Now we're going to talk about the next option here, which is issues, okay? Now earlier, what we saw, Kevin, was markups, and then I told you I'll talk about issues in a minute. So let's go look at this particular issue. Let's see, design. Yeah, this is design. Okay, let's go look at this one. I don't know what this one is, but we can go look at it. All right. So here it brings up in the panel issue number 4. This is a design issue. The status is currently open. The description here is widened door. It was assigned to me. I'm also a watcher, but we could bring in other people. Let's say we wanted, let's say we wanted David Campbell let's say we want David Campbell also to be a watcher on this. So this means he's not responsible for fixing this issue. It's just he needs to be made aware of this. So a couple of different ways that we can manage that. And then here we have the location. So here we can select, okay, where is our garage? It's 134 garage, right? So where did that list come from? And that came from the Revit rooms. That came from the Revit rooms. And then here we can see the location details. It's the garage room 134, northeast corner of the room. So now I'm getting dialed in, not just the room is identified, but where specifically. Additionally, there's a due date. It's due January 28th. Oh, wow, this is way overdue. It's way overdue. Let's change that date. Yeah, January 28th of 2023. And then the placement. So it shows here that we've got a placement on the first floor plan, but then I can add references. I can add a photo. I can add a photo that's been taken in this spot here, right? So I captured a photo of this particular old style phone. We need to widen the door because we want to preserve that phone, and that door threshold is super close. We want to widen it the other direction, right? So we can add references, and this can be anything, guys. It could be files, it could be a schedule, it could be an RFI, it could even be an asset. We'll get to these in subsequent presentations, but we can do all of that there. And I can do an at mention. So at, maybe I want to tell Chris Wilson, he's our layout guy. We want to tell Chris Wilson that the door threshold will change. So we're finishing this up, and before I leave this, notice that the placement, it's blue, and just like any blue item, it's a hyperlink. I could go right to that placement, and it's going to show me, it's going to open up the sheet that it's on, and maybe this is in a 3D view, and then it's going to zoom in right to where that's at. It's going to show me specifically where that's at. And now these markups that are unpublished, right? I can see that this markup, I can see it's unpublished because it says publish here. That's a markup for just me. I didn't want to share this, Kevin, because I just wanted to ensure that I knew what that size was going to be. So now I've got some work to do. So maybe what I do is I pop into Revit, I widen that to a 4-foot door, I slide it around a little bit, and then right? I widen that to a 4-foot door, I slide it around a little bit, and then I come back to the issue and I finish this issue out. The idea here, and if I go back to my issue log, the idea here is I want to close these open issues, and I can see the status of these as they're changing. So I can see this one in particular. This one, there's an AGC example. I was presenting this up in Seattle for their the Association of General Contractors there, and I switched it from an open status to a pending status, right? So maybe I'm working on the issue to widen the door, and then when I'm done with it, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to make a comment back to the person who issued this to me. So at Dave Campbell, right? So at David Campbell, this issue was resolved in my floor plans. Please review, right? So now when I submit this, David's going to get an alert, right? He's going to get an alert there. And then later what's going to happen, I don't want to ping him with all these unnecessary notifications here, but later what's going to happen here is he will go in, open the same one up. He's going to verify that the work was done. He's going to look at the file. He's going to look at the sheets. He's going to verify, and he's going to close it out, and they go gray, right? It takes your attention off, and then he's going to write back at J, right? So this was verified and closed.
And Jay,
So
will the watchers also see that information that it got closed out?
yeah, absolutely they will. So they're gonna see that their issue list here. If they only have access to 17 and issue number 4, that's all they're gonna see. They're
That's the
not
only
even gonna
ones.
be
Okay.
So they'll see the issue list that's relevant to them and them only. They're not gonna. I'm an administrator, so I see them all. But if he's a watcher, not an administrator, He's only going to see the ones that he's been tagged into. Yeah, good question. Cool. So the issues and the way that we use them, I need to go back into Sheets because I need to kind of illustrate this. The issues and the way that we use them. So here's the biggest difference between a markup and an issue. So we were just looking at issue number 4, which is this guy, widen door. This is the markup, right? So the markup is just a markup, Kevin, right? So
Right.
it's just a markup. It's just a suggestion. This doesn't mean that something is going to happen. It's just a suggestion. There's no action item behind this. However, an issue is time bound. An issue has a person that it's assigned to and a due date. This is an action item. So the difference between a markup, which are very useful, and an issue is that we've got accountability on this project. And not only that, but there's a historical log that's being kept on all of these issues. So by the time that we finish this project, Kevin, all of these issues need to be closed. They need to be closed. Every one of them. So that way later, let's say that there's a mechanical equipment that was installed. We noticed that there was a little bit of damage. It happened to be from chipping. We figured all that out. It was logged in an issue. Okay, let's say that we did all of that. We tracked it from its inception all the way to cradle to grave type of tracking, right? So we logged it as an issue that it was damaged, so on and so forth. And then 2 years later, we get a notification from the owner saying, hey, you guys installed, the general contractor, whoever was responsible for installing that damaged piece of hardware, they need to go back in and fix it. And you can go look up the issue, even though it's been 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. You can go look at the issue log, pull up that particular mechanical piece of equipment, the issue that you guys found, and you have all your historical warranty information, all of the documents that you went back and forth with the manufacturer on, the shipping company, all that stuff. You have the historical information about that particular issue. It doesn't just apply to damaged equipment. It applies to any type of issue. And if it ever gets brought up for any reason, I'm just using this damaged issue and the owner making you aware of it, years down the road. Although that kind of stuff does happen, it's pretty rare. But if for any reason whatsoever and something is found out, you can go look this stuff up and see if there was an issue that covered that specific scenario.
That's
So I think
slick.
I think I covered a lot about issues. There's a few nuances in there as well, but creating an issue is just like a markup. If you're in a floor plan, or better yet, in a 3D view, you can do, let me do one of those. I haven't done one of those. I don't think I've done any of those in a 3D view. Yeah, so let's go to our civil file. And so I don't have Revit, I don't have it installed, but I want to see this file. So how do I do that? And that's simple. You just access that particular file. Allow me to refresh here. Let me access this particular file. Give me a second. Yeah, I must not have posted that file properly. It didn't open. Let's say that we had an issue going, oh, the door threshold. Let's go look at that. So this is in that corner right here, right? So if I needed to document, we can't, for whatever reason, we can't put it here. That's where I would put this issue. So the issue again, you can see the log here of issues in this particular 3D model, in this particular document, but we have the ability to add a new issue right here. So here I would say, let's look at a design issue and let's go pinpoint this location, and there's an issue here of some sort. I don't know what it happens to be, but I would literally use that little issue button, locate it, and then start filling all this information in, as you saw earlier, all of those details. I would just start top and move all the way down, and that's how we create a new issue. This is now issue number 21. It keeps track of them, and it just increments every new issue as the next incremented integer. And if I go look at my issues log again, you'll see that we got issues there. Okay. All right, so that's issues, guys. This is one of the best ways to keep track of the progress of the project. And I know that the world that we live in, guys, you're getting notifications on your phone all the time, emails and text messages, and you know, the latest info that's going on Reddit, things that you subscribe to. I know that we're getting lots and lots of notifications, and I would highly encourage you to resist the temptation of turning your notifications off, because when there's an issue, the moment that it's made, that issue is emailed to that individual. So Kevin, had I set that up, so if Kevin was in this project and I'd set that up to be assigned to Kevin, he would immediately be made aware of that issue via email, right? So I would highly, highly encourage you guys, although there are ways to turn your notifications and change them, I would highly encourage you, just leave them on, at least while you're getting used to the system, and maybe even permanently leave them on to be instant notifications. Okay, Kevin, before I move on to forms, have we had any questions come up in the Q&A panel?
Nothing yet. In fact, I've been watching here.
Yeah, no problem. Good. All right, Kevin, we're going to move on
And
from.
feel free, anybody, if you do have a question, send it on in, and we'll break in here and see if we can't get you an answer.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Kevin. So, Kevin, we're going to move on now from issues to forms. Forms is a way that we can set up. If you have a PDF form that you like to set up, or an Excel spreadsheet that you like to set up, we can absolutely bring that in here. So there's some samples that are already in here. Let's go look at a timesheet sample. And it's pretty simple. You can see I got my name, I got my employee number, I got my company, I've got the week ending. Oh, that's that's pretty far way along there. But we can enter all this information in here, and you can even see I've got my signature there at the bottom. So this is one example of a form. Allow me to get back into another form. Yeah, and let's go take a look at this mechanical equipment. So this mechanical equipment, I made this form, and it was pretty simple, right? All I needed to do was have, okay, an equipment. I needed to add the equipment right in here, okay? So I wanted to track it, and then, so that's the equipment. And then, so that's number one, equipment. Number two, mechanical equipment punch list. So I only have one right now. Was the equipment installed properly, okay? And then if I wanted to modify this, I could go in there and edit. I can edit this one. Where is my edit button? Let me go back in here. I think I need to modify the templates. Yeah, I need to modify the templates. Yep, so I can modify this one and add a ditch. Oops, I went too quick there. There it is. So notice I was on forms here. I can go modify the templates themselves. So here's mechanical equipment. This is what I was trying to get to earlier. So I want to modify the template here. And let's say not only did I want to know was it installed properly, but I also wanted to know, I can add a new question here. Okay. And so now we're at 2.2, a placeholder question. What phase is this? Is this single phase? What phase is equipment? So is it single phase or is it three phase, right? So you can pre-configure a text response. The first one would be single phase, okay? And then the next one would be, oh, I need to do multiple. Yeah, there we go, multiple responses. Single or three phase. All right, good. And this one, I would just, if I don't need that third one, I would just remove it. There we go. So that's my pre-configured way of making a form. So you can, like I said, you can use a PDF. You can bring that in. You can bring in a section in there. Sorry, a PDF, an Excel file. You can export those in, or you can make a new one here, as I've shown you here. And now I can make a mechanical equipment form, right? So the way that this works is, oh, and I need to make a new one. Give me a second. That was the other one, the older one. So now I can make it with the existing template here, and you can see it added what phase is that equipment, and it's just a tick box here. So again, how do you deal with this? So today's date, it's ID number 13, select the location. Maybe I'm in the mechanical room, and I forget what room number it is. Let me look for it. Where are you? There it is, 124, okay? Description, let's just add the equipment. Let's say it was AHU-2. So I've added that in here, and then was it installed properly? Yes. What phase is it? This is a 3-phase, right? So that's how we do that. So maybe this was Jimmy, the apprentice, who did the inspection and made that form. So the cool thing is, whoever makes the form, it's going to show the status that that person made it. In the notes, I placed that in here. But you can add notes in there on behalf of someone or whatever that is. So that's how we leverage the sheets, the lists. You can see again from the details, it was performed on December the 13th, 2022. It's the ID, it's got that information here. It's got when it was submitted and who did it, right? So even had it been Jimmy, the apprentice who was on this project, it would show his name instead, so on and so forth. But also we have 4 reviewers on here, and the way that works is the reviewers are part of who is attached to these particular forms, right? So that's how we kind of leverage all of this. If we have any references, so if there was a photo that was attached, if there was any kind of documents, any PDFs, an instruction manual, a shipping, an operations manual, anything that we attached within the project, which would be under files, we can attach here to references. So we can build this up very thoroughly. That's one example of how you work with them within the system. But again, you can import an Excel, you can import a PDF. It's going to review those and give you that information as you saw earlier there with that, with some of those other templates. Okay, so it's 46 past the hour. I wanted to make sure I didn't go too far into this. I wanted to show you these 4 things. I want to show you sheets, I wanted to show you files and issues, as well as forms. I think we've covered all these topics pretty thoroughly. If anybody on has any questions, or if you guys want to see more, ensure that you reach out to me and Kevin and Katrina too. Ensure you reach out to us, because we can do a very thorough deep dive, whether it's at your office or we can do a Microsoft virtual Teams meeting, whatever the case is. We can show you this specifically for your scenario and how you guys do your work. We can kind of custom make a demonstration for you know, the way that you guys typically work. So Kevin, I think I haven't seen any questions pop up. I
Yeah, I'm
kind of glanced over it every once in a while.
still looking for any, and I just wanted to be clear on something. I believe you alluded to this earlier, Jay, but can I share my project to a recipient if they don't have a license to build?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if they don't have a license, they're definitely not going to be a member, right? If they don't have a license, they're definitely not going to be a member of your project.
Okay.
It requires a license, right? So the way that we work around that is we share a public link, and I talked about this just briefly earlier. So let's say we wanted to share our MEP Revit file with a sub-consultant. Maybe it's a fire sprinkler consultant, but he doesn't have the system. He doesn't have a way to deal with that. But we already have the file posted. He can just download it. And the way we would do that is by sharing a public link with him. And here we have an option to anyone with a public link, and I can go grab this link and just copy it and email it to him. So
Okay.
yes, the answer, if they don't have a license and they still need to be a part of the project, looking at files, we can do it that way. Not only that, Kevin, we can share the entire folder with them, right? We can share the entire folder with them, and they're going to see anything in there. and have the ability to download all of that, right? So yes, absolutely is the answer.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and go ahead, folks, if there's any questions that we covered or you're kind of looking for something that ties in with all of this, ask away here.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. Kevin, the man, the myth, the legend, thank you so much for
The
helping me out.
troublemaker.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, no, this is Jay. This has been fantastic. I really appreciate this. You know, I'm just getting up to speed with this stuff myself, so this has been really helpful just to kind of navigate and everything else. Does this work with Autodesk Connector?
Oh, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So I didn't even cover that. Yeah, so what is the Autodesk Desktop Connector? The Autodesk Desktop Connector, it's a utility that makes a drive on your system. So let's say that you, instead of working, logging into your favorite web browser and logging in that way, the way that works is, check this out. We've got our file explorer here. Do you see this Autodesk Docs right here? Autodesk Docs, that's a drive that's facilitated by the Autodesk Desktop Connector. So mine is running in my system tray at the bottom right-hand corner of my system here. It's just an application that allows us to have a drive. And here we've got my Topcon Solutions project. Here's my Autobahn 2020. Here's my project files. And you know what I'm going to do? Let me just demonstrate how this works. If I have a file that I want to put into our civil folder, let's say I need to share a file with you. Let's say I
Okay.
want to put it in here. I can upload the file directly here, right? Upload the file and go from my computer. I can do that here. However, maybe what I want to do is I want to do that in my file explorer here, right? So let's say I wanted to grab my, where are you? A PNG here of the Autodesk logo. Let's take this Autodesk logo and put it in there, okay? So what I would do is I would just copy it and put it into that particular folder structure there. So in my Autobahn project files, and I'll go into the civil folder and I'll just paste it right here, boom. So you're gonna see that the Autodesk Desktop Connector is going to take over now, and it's going to post that file there. And I think it just finished. I saw a little blue icon, it flashed and it turned off. So this is up to date. And I can check on it, right? I can see everything's up to date. The Autodesk logo went in there. And if I go back, boom, there's the Autodesk logo. So rather than having to go in here and manage files, I can leverage the Autodesk Desktop Connector to let me go into my Autodesk Docs. And that's facilitated, guys. That's facilitated. And I have this PowerPoint that I like to kind of demonstrate when it comes to Docs. This illustrates exactly how that works. So Autodesk likes to refer to it as the CDE. CDE. What does CDE mean, Jay? Yeah, I'm glad you asked, Kevin. So the
Yeah. What does
CDE,
that mean?
so the CDE
You're
means
rotten.
Common Data Environment. Common Data Environment. So Autodesk Docs, okay, Autodesk Docs, it works on this whole predication here that every module that I have, it's built on top of it. Here you see that we've got Autodesk Build, and it's on top of the Autodesk Cloud, the Autodesk Docs Cloud. Here's Autodesk Docs. It's a common data environment. So not only can we leverage Build, but we can also do the design with the Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. So those of you who are using Revit to do your designs, the architects, the structural engineers, the mechanical engineers, the electrical engineers, the fire smoke damper, the fire sprinkler engineers, they all use Revit. And if they're using Revit, Kevin, they would use BIM Collaborate Pro, so all of their files, their Revit files, are on the cloud, but then they simply push that over, right? They're
Okay.
using Pro, it's on the cloud, and then those Revit files then go up to Build, right? So that's what the common data environment means, the common data environment being Docs. It's the cloud hosting of all those files, but everything plugs into that. Every single thing. We're talking about BIM 360 plan and pipe. We're also talking about assemble, building ops, BIM 360 ops, right? So if you have facilities maintenance, now you're going all the way cradle to grave. I mentioned that at the beginning, but that's where all of this stuff lives, and that's how we push it. Absolutely. So docs being the heart and soul of everything, that allows the facilitation of us not even being able to, not even having to go into the cloud per se, into a web browser to go in and manage the files. We can do that directly on our Windows File
That's
Explorer.
way easier.
Oh yeah, totally. And I think just people are more used to that anyway, is Windows File Explorer.
All right, we do have a brave soul here, Jay.
Oh, cool.
So, for architects to answer RFIs or submittals, do they need to be a member or just share the project file with them?
Yeah. So if you want to participate fully as an architect, yeah, you would want to be a member. You would want to be a member of the project. However, that is not the only way to leverage this, right? So if I've got an RFI, I can email this, and you can respond to it via email. You don't have to do anything more than that. So let's say we've got an RFI, this door position RFI. We can, and where is it? Forgive me, I forget where it's at. We can send this to a co-reviewer. Where is it? Yeah, so it's been reviewed. Oh, I'm in the wrong step here, guys. It's in the reviewed step. I can send this to an individual. It's a little further along the line there. We can send it to an individual email address that is not part of the project. We can absolutely have someone who's not part of the project deal with it. As for example, this architect. However, if he's part of the system, he gets the ability to manage all of this other information as well. It's just more complete in my opinion. But you can just use email and respond that way. The email then would come back in as an additional item, and it would have all that stuff commented in the activity log. Cool. All right. All right, guys, we're going to leave the lines open here for any additional questions. But if there are none, I wish you guys an excellent day. I hope that I just saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so I want to wish you guys an excellent day. It was a rerun on TV, but yeah, thank you guys so much for your time and attention. And Kevin, thank you for helping me
Oh,
out today. I
oh,
appreciate it.
you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much, Jay. And if there is any last second questions, please ask away. Um, uh, the second of the series is on January 17th. That's going to be photos, submittals, meetings, and schedules. And again, if you do need to get a hold of us, just check us out, topconsolutions.com. It's our website, or you can email us at info@topconsolutions.com. Nope. So info@topconsolutions.com, or just give us a shout. 855-289-1772. That's 855-289-1772. I'd be good on the radio, Jay.
And you would. And you would. Absolutely would.
Thank you, everybody, so much. And I can't thank you enough, Jay. That was fantastic. Really, really well done.
I appreciate it. All right, guys, have a great day, everyone.